Hi everybody, how's it going? Mark here, and today we'll be talking about witch hunters in Mordheim Paramod and how they fare in the Martin. So I think we can just kind of get to it right away. And the first character that we're gonna be talking about is the witch hunter captain. So a witch hunter captain is, I'm not sure exactly where I'm gonna put it just yet, so I'll just kind of like throw it on the screen, to be honest. So the thing about the Witch Hunter Captain is that it's like the dodge equivalent of the Mercenary Captain, except not quite. The thing about the Parry Captain from the Mercenaries and why he's so good is because whenever you parry, you get from the parry a discount of 1. From the passive, you get 1 additional discount of parry. So in that case, your counterattack costs 0. It's for free. The case with the Witch Hunter Captain is that if you dodge, you only get 1 offense point discount to your counterattacks. So your counterattacks are always going to cost 1 offense points, and that's probably with the Witch Hunter Captain, you cannot use this passive as effectively as the mercenaries. There are ways for you currently in the mod to like make use of this mechanic of like attacking back on your counterattack, but for that you need like a shield of recovery. Some people might think, oh, but isn't it like a good idea to maybe like have some leftover offensive points for those counterattacks? Then not really. You kind of just want to use all of your offensive points as effectively as possible in the moment. In this case, if I'm talking about like an older leader, you want to spend all of your offensive points on an older leader. Honestly, I think like the best way this character could be buffed is if they received the same passive as the mercenary captain, so that your counterattacks, whenever you dodge, they get a discount of -2, so that you get like 3 attacks back. Also, like why I think this sort of a change to the passive, the Witch Hunter Captain, would be nice, is because then you wouldn't need the enchantment to actually like counterattack back. You would get like more options for your shield. You would also be able to use Empty Hand effectively. Maybe another thing regarding Empty Hand. It's not good in this mod. Like it only gives you +10% dodge and +10 initiative. I think like Empty Hand should be like much better in this mod. I think it should like give you maybe like +20% dodge, or I would even give it like +30% dodge, but like I actually have make like a decision, a conscious decision in my head that yeah, maybe in this case, getting like an empty hand instead of a shield could be better, because right now just shield just literally trumps everything. Uh, there's almost like no reason to use empty hand. There are like some very far few good cases, and like if you see people running empty hands in like PvP and stuff, it's mostly because they just have to. I'm talking a lot about the empty hand, but it's just related. Empty hand is just kind of related a lot with the dodge builds, and I don't think like the dodge builds are doing like very hot in this mod. Also, like I feel like the empty hand should be like a proper counter to um Daredevil builds, right? I mean, you're quite easily able to reach like 100% dodge piercing. So if Empty Hand was buffed, then like all the other characters who rely on Empty Hand would also get buffed because of it. Okay, let's return to the Witch Hunter Captain. So far I have been only talking mostly about the order leader. So what are some other builds that you can do? So I think probably the most effective way to use this captain is the order leader with the sidestep, but you can also make like a serenity tank, but there's also, I think that should be like more of a dodge tank hybrid. The biggest issue that dodge tanks in general have, well, there's like a bunch of them. They can get intimidated, they can get terrorized, Once their dodge is breached, they just kind of die because they don't have like armor to take the damage. They might just die to ranged attacks because they don't have armor. They can just die to magic and stuff. Witch Hunter's identity as a warband is, I think, like kind of like a defensive warband, which should also counter magic and stuff. That's kind of my headcanon and how they feel play wise. You can also make like a ranged Witch Hunter Captain, but then it just kind of feels weird that you have a bit of a dead passive. But you can definitely make like a support Witch Hunter Captain. That's a possibility for you to do. Honestly, I cannot put the Witch Hunter Captain into the not bad category because I don't feel like he is exactly a good character. And I don't feel like the builds that the Witch Hunter Captain currently has are exactly good. I think there might be also like some heavy armor Witch Hunter Captain builds, but I haven't really explored them properly enough. So I think I'm just gonna put the Witch Hunter Captain into the okay category. The next character that we have is Templar Knight. And I think like Templar Knight, I'm just gonna like go ahead and put this character into the insane category because of the stats, the stat distribution this character has. So this character has a very easy time reaching like 15 strength or like 15 toughness. So you go for the armor proficient combo and hardy combo, and it's gonna be like pretty damn good. This character is also like immune to the mentals. I guess the biggest issue this character faces is if it gets like stuck on a henchman or something, but you can even go for plus 15 leadership, and with that you can also grab like intimidate mastery. So this character has a lot of options in that regard. I think the best way probably to play this is just kind of combining it with frenzy, and then kind of like combining it with armor buffs from the warrior priest, so that you have like very high amounts of armor. You can like with this character you can even reach something like 105% armor. It can get like crazy. I think like also like strongbow can be like a good choice if you don't want to get like parry tanked all the time. There's also like a thing where you can build a melee resistance tank from this guy. It's like it's fine. Uh, it's not gonna deal like good damage, but it can like do its job. But it has to be like supported by other characters because by itself it's not good enough. That build is I would probably put it into the insane category. Next character that we have are the witch hunters themselves. I'm gonna go ahead and put this into I should either put this like into kinda bad or bad category. So what is the character's passive? The character's passive is if you miss a melee attack, you get plus 30% melee damage. So what are the issues with this sort of passive and this character? So you're kind of like encouraged to go into the melee because of this passive. But the thing is, like your physical stats just kind of suck. There are builds where you can like build like maybe like full toughness, hardy, witch hunter, but I'm not exactly sure what that sort of a build is supposed to look like. I think like a more common witch hunter build overall is like a sidestep, but like it's not. This build doesn't work until you give it like physical grimoire, um, and it can be like felt a lot that this build kind of struggles. And I think we've already like covered that the issues that dodge builds have in general. So I think that this is kind of like also a shame for the witch hunters. These like witch hunters, they're like very visually appealing characters, and it's kind of a shame that they're maybe not as good, let's say. So what is like the good thing about this character? Well, the good thing is also the martial stats. You get so many like martial stats that you end up with relatively high crit chance. but you also don't have to go for a crit chance. You can also go for a hybrid build with weapon skill and ballistic skill. That's also a possibility. But the hybrid build is kind of awkward. Um, and because you have like so many martial stats that you can invest into the accuracy, you don't even have like an access to the longbow or the crit bow. You have access to the witch hunter pistols, um, which are more like focused on armor piercing rather than critting. So you just kind of like end up having to choose from like guns or the rifle for the crits. I haven't tried that build to be honest, but yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I'm not sure how to build this character. It's just like overall very confusing to me. I think this character just kind of needs like a redesign of its passive. Because like for example, if you're trying to make it like a melee carry who's going to rack up as much damage as possible, then you want to hit the target, right? So like when you miss, it's not like a win situation for this character, is what I'm trying to say. Other characters, maybe like the warrior or the marksman or the novice, they make much better use of this mechanic overall. And since this character has like so many martial points, I think it kind of makes more sense to make this character whenever you actually hit the target, then you get like the damage boost. But in that case, obviously the damage boost would need to get nerfed to lower values. I think I'm just gonna put them into the bad category then, even if that's kind of harsh, I guess. There is one build which makes an effective use of this mechanic of the trying to stack as much melee damage as possible, but I wouldn't say it's exactly a good build, to be honest. Also, like maybe a confusing thing regarding this character is the ballistic skill, right? So it starts with like 6 ballistic skill, but it has like 12 ballistic skill max. So you can't exactly go for free for plus 20 ballistic skill. Next character that we have is the warrior priest, and I think warrior priest is probably the most overrated character in Mordheim. Um, I'm not sure exactly what the best build for the warrior priest is, but I feel like he just kind of belongs to the good category. And I'm putting him into the good category because overall he's like very, or his spellbook is extremely defensive. I'm not saying the defensive spells are bad, they're actually like very good, but you usually just win the game by killing the enemy. And I think like good offense is oftentimes the better defense, you know, and especially in Mordheim. There are like two builds, so there's like this heavy armor build, I guess, which kind of focuses on the defense and like buffing your units. So like if you want to like support this guy to have him have like 95% armor, that's a possibility for you. Or for example, if you would want to like support this guy and the wolf priest, right? So yeah, they can have like a shit ton of armor. I believe Kitten Paul also played like this sort of a daredevil build. I'm not sure how good that was, but he dealt like a lot of damage. There's also like the spell damage build character, and I think this hasn't really been tried properly, or at least I haven't seen anybody play it properly. So if you have like the Sigmarite Great Hammer, and you walk up to somebody, you hit them, and then you spam, what do you call it? I think it's called Soulfire or something like that. And with this Soulfire, you're wanting to like hit as many targets as possible in the area. I think this sort of a witch hunter warrior priest build can be pretty damn good, but that's kind of like theory crafting, I guess. Maybe one thing that I dislike, and I think also Kittenpo dislikes as well, is that this witch hunter hero can be borrowed by other warbands. and um, I don't expect like the mod to change it, and probably don't think I even want that to happen because we have like tournament rules that can like take care of it. But I think it when the designers originally made the game, I don't think they realized that it could be like hurting the identity of the witch hunters, like that other warbands could like borrow the spellbook of the witch hunters, because sometimes like mercenaries are doing the better job at witch hunting than the witch hunters themselves, with the defense and stuff. Right. I mean, because if you, for example, imagine that you give plus 20% armor to the ogre, yeah, that can get pretty crazy. And guess who also has like access to armor, heavy armor? It's the warriors. And yeah, I guess who doesn't have access to heavy armor? It's the zealots. They don't have access to heavy armor. So yeah, I'm not sure whether they allowed it. It's kind of a weird choice. Also, like one thing I dislike about the warrior priests is that if you want to like make this sort of a buffing warband, you need to have like two warrior priests together so that like they buff each other and the bros help each other out, with the buffs. Cause like for example, the prayer of the armor, it doesn't it doesn't buff your own It doesn't buff your own warrior priest. When you're applying the armor of righteous to somebody, you cannot buff yourself. When you're applying the AoE magic resistance increase, you cannot buff yourself. I think if warrior priest could also just buff himself with these buffs, I think that would be amazing, because then I wouldn't have to like bring both of them for the purposes of buffing each other. That's kind of like an annoying thing about this character. But as for the leader, what changes, right? I guess you have access to orders, and that can be pretty damn nice. You can build it an absolutely full tank, focus on orders. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that is like the best approach. Maybe one thing we haven't covered is like the healing hand. I think healing hand it's a very very good spell, but I think healing circle overall is just kind of better because it's like an AoE heal rather than just like one person healing. I think it's okay to just kind of put them both into the good category. The leader also has like an easier time actually building the heavy armor build rather than this one. The next character that we have is the executioner. So I'm gonna like put the executioner into the not bad category. And I don't think this character is bad, to be honest. Um, but I'm not sure if it's like good either. I mean, we've seen like some high damaging builds from, I believe it was from Kitten Paw, and then also like True Griffin. So like they can do a lot of damage, and they have also like a sort of an melee resistance counter built into himself, because you can like put down the pyre and increase your hit chance, and the pyre also like supports a potential daredevil build with the dodge piercing. So I think you can kind of build this character in two ways, and that is well, there are like actually like a bunch of ways, to be honest. One of these builds is like a dodge tank build slash melee resistance build. It can be like a very very good build for tanking impressives, enemy impressives or demons. Not exactly like a consistent way of dealing with enemies and stuff. I mean, it is a consistent way of dealing with enemies. It just takes a lot of time. Because like this character also has like this burning effect on his weapons. The issue with the burning effects is that it has like an only 80% chance of applying. So that gets kind of like annoying sometimes. Other than that, I think you can also just do like some sort of a crit build because this guy has pretty good accuracy stats. But there's not really like that's also kind of like the deal with a lot of the witch hunter characters is that they have like a pretty high potential for high accuracy, high crit chance builds, but like there's not really anything else that supports this sort of a crit chance playstyle. You're just kind of like relying on the basic skills for that. Yeah, the only thing that you have is kind of like the zealot thingy. What is it called? Fanatical zeal skill. Also, I feel like the fanatical zeal skill is a little bit better in vanilla, and it's because of this thing right here. But it says that it's like for 3 turns and 2 turns. So in vanilla, this buff just lasted for 1 turn. So you could go for the fanatical zeal, give yourself a hit chance buff, but on the next round, the buff would end, and then you would be able to flee and disengage. So right now, like the most effective fanatical zeal users are the characters that don't cannot disengage already. So that's like either the executioner or this guy. Yeah, and I guess you can do like a strength build. You can do like also like a crit build which focuses on the hammers and switches to the swords. Or you can do like some straight up damage with Frenzy, Daredevil. I think, if I'm not wrong, True Griffin played this build and it did pretty well. This character is also like a pretty good target for the heal from the Warrior Priest, so yeah. Okay, next character that we have is the Zealot. The Zealot is the henchman or the witch hunters. Ah, so regarding the Zealot, he just kind of I feel like I feel like Zealot should be a pretty good character overall, but there's just like something about him which doesn't feel like he's exactly good. And I don't know if it's just like regarding the maybe lack of weapon skill. I don't know. I feel like this character should be doing better for some reason, but in my head, like it's okay for some reason. I can't explain why it is. I mean, this is a bad character. I wouldn't say so. There are like 2 builds for this guy, so you can either play like a support archer. I don't think really a damage archer is a thing for the zealot. Or there is like a melee zealot, right, with high armor and just kind of taking damage. That's what its passive is. The more damage it takes, the more damage it's gonna dish out, right? But I don't know. This character should also hypothetically be like a pretty good hybrid character, but I don't think like hybrid characters are going to be good until the reload change happens, if it happens. I don't know. I think I'm just kind of unimpressed with the zealots overall, so I think I'm just kind of put them in the okay category. But I don't think there's anything exactly wrong with the zealots, but I don't think there's exactly anything impressive with the zealots. As for the LGT version, the LGT version should be hypothetically able to be like more impressive regarding like taking the damage and making better use of its passive. I don't know. I guess it's just kind of like not bad, to be honest. I don't really have like anything like smart to say about this character. I think this character also probably makes the best support archer for the witch hunters if we're not thinking about marksman, right? If we're not thinking about marksman, this character should be the best support archer with the bow, because bow gives you plus higher hit chance. So like one thing I don't really understand was what the purpose of the like witch hunter crossbow pistols are. Because if I'm going for damage, I guess I can just go for the crossbows. And if I'm going like for a support archer, then I think I'm just kind of better off going for the LGT zealot and have him do the job because of the higher hit chance. So I think it's kind of like fair, honestly, to put him into the not bad. They can make pretty good support archers for sure. Next character that we have is the Flagellant. And I think I'm just kind of like going to put Flagellant into the bad category. And to me, like Flagellants, um, they're just kind of like an annoying character. um, they don't really do anything impressive. Yeah, you're kind of like able to stack like 60% armor, 70% armor while having like high dodge chance, but I don't know. I'm not sure how to approach this character exactly. I mean, maybe it's not exactly bad, maybe it's just like kinda bad, to be honest. I think the biggest issue that this Flagellant has as a character are its stats. Because if you take a look at the Flagellant here, take a look, right? He starts with a lot of accuracy. And maybe that is kind of like you think, oh, maybe the approach for this character is to get as much accuracy as possible, but you're going to end up with like no weapon skill whatsoever. So I guess that's not it. Um, and if you're like using these points into the martial stats for the weapon skill, then yeah, you'll just kind of like end up with 13 weapon skill. I mean, you can give him like more. I can do this. You can give him veteran, this, and then you can give him +4 weapon skill from the chest, and then you can max out your weapon skill that way. So maybe that's the best approach, to be honest, to this character. I don't know. I think that build may be like actually like okay, right? But I cannot like put this on. In that case, I cannot like put this on the same like level as the Flagellant. Zealot is like better character than Flagellant. Okay, so what are some like good things about the Flagellant that Flagellant has going for himself? So the good thing is that they are kind of like immune to all alone. They're immune to fear, and they are immune to terror. And that they are also able to disengage, so you can like kind of control this character when it should be going in and when it should be going out. Technically, you should be able to fix uh, the, 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 the hit chance, for example, with the Fanatical Zeal. But again, you're gonna have the issue that you lose the precious thingy of not being able to disengage. So that kind of sucks. I don't know, I think I'm just gonna like leave it at the kind of bad category. And regarding the builds, you can either go for like agility based build, something like that. Could be even like this, like this, could be like this, or you just ditch the agility entirely and just kind of like focus on strength and toughness, you know, just trying to deal as much damage as possible. Maybe that's the overall better approach to this character. Yeah. Yeah, and the empty hand just kind of sucks, so if there were like any buffs to the empty hand, it would also help the Flagellant. So yeah. The last two characters that we have is this one, So let's think about like the smuggler in Witch Hunters. And I don't know, I don't think like smuggler does anything like super unique in Witch Hunters. So I think it's just kind of like a good character overall. And that's about it, to be honest. I've already discussed smuggler in my previous tier list, so you can like go ahead and look at that. And the last character is actually the Wolf Priest. And the Wolf Priest is pretty funny with Witch Hunters. So there is like the sort of a skill that Witch Hunters have. It's called Trial of Pain. So it's like a debuff that you apply to an enemy, and whenever the enemy attacks you or anybody, they take damage. So this is a thing that can be possibly stacked with the Wolf Priest spell. It's called Snow King's Decree, and it's also like uh, applies a similar condition, so you can kind of like stack it. And also this sort of a playstyle, it can be further improved by Winter's Chill. So if you have some sort of a melee resistance tank, you can just kind of like make somebody kill themselves, which is pretty funny. I think the reason why I'm kind of like putting this guy into the insane tier is because this character racks up or can rack up high amounts of armor, and if you combine it with the warrior priest, then these numbers can get really crazy. They can be like also a pretty good option for some kind of a ranged spell damage for this warband. So I think I'm gonna like put Wolf Priest in the insane category. And I think that's about it. And so overall I think like the Witch Hunters are kind of like an okay warband, I guess. They're interesting, but I think some of the like more iconic characters need some help, to be honest.